All right, let's get right into it. We're going to talk about something super important, AI security training. Specifically, why that generic one-size-fits-all program you might be using isn't just, a little inefficient. No, it's actually creating some pretty dangerous blind spots all across your company. And just so you know where all this great info is coming from, this entire explainer is pulled from Chapter 5 of a tutorial by Virtualization Options LLC. So yeah, everything we're about to cover comes straight from their deep dive on needs assessment. So let's just start with this one big question, and I want you to really think about it. Is your AI security training a one-size-fits-all deal? Because if it is, I've got some news for you. You're probably creating some major security gaps. I mean, what's useful for one team could be totally useless or, honestly, even risky for another. So here's how we're going to break this down. First, we'll look at exactly why that one-size-fits-all approach just doesn't work. Then, we're going to do a little tour through a typical company, hitting human resources, finance, legal, and operations to see what's really going on. And we'll wrap it all up with the big takeaway. All right, first up, why one size fails? The simple answer, unique risks pop up in every single department. And really, when you think about it, it's kind of obvious. Every team has a totally different job, they're handling different kinds of data, and they've got their own set of rules to play by. And that's really the whole point, isn't it? You can't possibly build a solid AI security plan if you don't get what makes each department tick. You've got to understand how they operate, the specific regulations they face, what their biggest risks are, all of that stuff. That's the real foundation of a security strategy that actually works. Okay, our first stop on this tour, human resources. These are the protectors of people data. And honestly, this is where some of the most sensitive, most personal information in the entire company is stored. So yeah, it's a huge deal to get their AI training right. Think about what HR is using AI for these days. Screening resumes, drafting performance reviews, you name it. And that opens up a whole can of worms. You've got employee data privacy for one. Then there's the massive issue of bias creeping into hiring and promotions through AI. And of course, keeping performance reviews confidential and making sure everything complies with laws like GDPR. It's a lot. And this quote really just says it all, doesn't it? HR is dealing with PII, health records, salaries, stuff that could cause significant harm if it got out. A data leak here isn't just some abstract technical glitch. It's deeply personal. It can mess up people's lives. That's why custom training for them is it's not even a question, it's a must. All right, let's head over to the finance department. They're the guardians of accuracy and audits. And this is a great example of how the risks can change completely. With HR, it was all about privacy, right? Well, with finance, the big worry shifts from protecting people's data to protecting the company's financial integrity. So, the finance folks are using AI for all sorts of things. Reconciling accounts, sniffing out fraud, forecasting the future. But just imagine for a second. What if an AI report has one tiny error? That little mistake could spiral into what's called a material misstatement. And that means regulatory fines, angry investors, maybe even lawsuits. It's a huge, huge risk. And this right here is probably the single most important lesson for any finance team using AI. It is a tool. It's there to help them make decisions, not to make the decisions for them. Their training has to absolutely hammer this home. You still need your professional judgment. You have to know how to check the AI's work and keep a solid paper trail. Okay, putting these two side by side really drives the point home. Look at this. For HR, the absolute worst case scenario is a privacy breach. For finance, a material misstatement. They're dealing with totally different kinds of data. The potential damage is completely different, so how could their training possibly be the same? It just can't. Next up, we're visiting the legal department, the keepers of secrets and ethics. And if you thought the other departments were complicated, well, this is where AI security risks get incredibly complex, because now we're talking about fundamental professional duties. So, lawyers are all in on AI for things like legal research and reviewing contracts. But for them, it's not just about preventing a data leak. No way. They have these huge professional obligations, like maintaining attorney-client privilege and following super strict ethics rules. That's a whole different level of risk. And this quote, wow, it highlights a massive, massive risk. Just think about it. A lawyer pastes some confidential client info into a public AI chatbot. Boom. They might have just accidentally waived attorney-client privilege that could completely sink an entire legal case. It's why specialized, ethics-focused AI training is absolutely non-negotiable for any legal team. All right, our final stop is operations. This is kind of the engine room of the business, right? We're talking about everyone from the fast-paced sales and marketing teams all the way to the internal folks who are just focused on making things run smoothly. What's really wild here is that even within the broad category of operations, the risks are totally different. You've got sales and marketing who are all about speed and creativity. Their big risk? Using some random, unapproved shadow AI tool that ends up hurting the brand. Then you have the core ops team, focused on efficiency. Their danger is relying too much on automation and not having a human double-checking things. But you know what they have in common? They're both so focused on getting results that security can easily get pushed to the side. And this really gets at a critical point for operations: over-automation. It's so easy to become way too dependent on AI and forget to build in human oversight or, a good old-fashioned manual backup plan. So their training needs to be all about resilience. They've got to know how to watch over these AI systems, how to tell when something looks off, and, this is the big one, what the heck to do when the AI inevitably messes up or just goes down. Okay, so we've done our tour of the company. What's the one big thing you should walk away with? It's simple, really. When it comes to AI security, context is everything. So, real effective AI security training, it doesn't start with a fancy new tool or a long list of tech jargon. Nope. It starts with understanding the people. You've got to ask, what is this department's actual mission? What specific data are they handling? And what are the rules they have to follow? Only then can you build training that actually addresses their real-world risks. So, I'm going to leave you with a final thought. A question, really. In your company, right now, which department do you think is the most vulnerable? Seriously, take a second to think about it. Because just asking that question, that's the very first step toward building an AI security strategy that's smarter, safer, and actually works for everybody.